Okay, so I saw this absolutely wild exchange with Elon Musk on X the other day, and my mind has been racing ever since. I just have to break it down with you because it's one of those ideas that really makes you think about the deep, deep future of humanity.
So it all kicked off with this quote. There will be no poverty in the future and no need to save money. I mean, what? And he wasn't talking about universal basic income. Nope. He said universal high income, a world of just true abundance. It's a totally radical idea, right? So what on earth does that even mean? All right, let's dive into this. Let's really try to wrap our heads around what Musk is talking about here. We're starting with the big idea. A world where scarcity as we know it just doesn't exist. A world where you have access to pretty much anything you could ever need. Now, you've probably heard of UBI, right? Universal Basic Income. And that's fine. It's a safety net, a floor, to make sure nobody starves. But this idea, universal high income, UHI, that is a whole different ballgame. We're not talking about preventing poverty. We are talking about creating actual, honest-to-God material abundance for everyone. Okay, so the big question is, how is this even remotely possible? Well, according to Musk, it all comes down to three key things. Three technological pillars that have to fall into place. Pillar number one, AI and humanoid robots like Optimus make the cost of labor practically zero. Okay? Pillar two, solar, fusion, nuclear, you name it, they drive the cost of energy down to basically zero. And then pillar three, asteroid mining and perfect recycling make the cost of raw materials, you guessed it, zero. So think about it. If labor, energy, and materials are all free, what happens to the cost of everything made from them? It's like you'd basically have a genie in a bottle. Anything you want, you just ask for it. You want a house? Poof, the bots get to work and build it. A new car? Done. The bots put it together. Dinner? It's grown, it's cooked, it's delivered to your door, and it costs nothing. Which leads to the really mind-bending part. Why would you even need to save money? I know, it sounds like a total utopia. But, and this is a big but, this is the exact moment where this beautiful dream comes crashing headfirst into cold, hard reality. And it creates this paradox that I've been calling the Malibu Problem. Think about it. Okay, so robots can build infinite copies of a car, a phone, a chair. Fine. But what about the stuff you can't copy? What about the things that are, by their very definition, one of a kind? And this is where we need to talk about this really interesting economic idea called positional goods. It's a fancy term for something pretty simple. Robots can stamp out 1,000,000 identical Teslas, no problem. But can they make another one of that exact plot of land on a cliff overlooking the ocean in Malibu? Nope. That place is unique. And its value, well, it comes from being the only one. And that is the heart of the Malibu problem. Let's say all 8 billion of us on this planet have infinite resources. We all want that one house with that one perfect view. Who gets it? You can't just offer more money, because the other person has infinite money too. The bidding war never ends. Suddenly, the whole idea of a price just evaporates. It's gone. Our entire market system, the way we decide who gets what, it only works because of scarcity, because I have X amount of money and you have Y. But when we both have infinity, the system just breaks. It completely collapses for these unique things. So is that it? Is the whole dream dead on arrival because of some fancy real estate? Well, you didn't think Elon would just leave it at that, did you? Of course not. He has a proposed solution, and let me tell you, it is just as wild as the problem itself.
His counterargument is pretty brilliant, actually. He's basically saying, what if we solve the problem of location by making location meaningless? I mean, think about it. If you could travel from a cabin in Montana to that Malibu beach in like 5 minutes, does owning the Malibu house still have the same appeal? And this isn't just some sci-fi fantasy he's dreaming up. Look at his companies. He's literally building the pieces to make this happen. You've got high-speed tunnels from the Boring Company. You've got electric aircraft in the works. And then there's the big one, using Starship to do point-to-point travel anywhere on Earth in under an hour. He's trying to literally shrink the planet. And if you're a sci-fi fan, this might sound familiar. This whole idea is pulled straight from one of the greatest sci-fi series ever written, Ian M. Banks' Culture novels. And in those books, how do they solve the Malibu problem? They just build more Malibus. They construct these enormous artificial worlds in space and manufacture all the prime real estate you could ever want. Okay, but let's pause for a second.
this brings up a really, really deep question about what we as humans actually value. Even if you could build a perfect copy of Malibu, right down to the last grain of sand, is it the same? Does it feel the same?
I mean, look at Las Vegas. They've got a pretty convincing replica of the Eiffel Tower, right? But do people say, oh, I've seen the Vegas one, I don't need to go to Paris? No. Millions of people still travel across the world to see the original. There's something in us that craves authenticity, that values history, and you just can't manufacture that.
All right, so let's follow this train of thought. If money is meaningless, and even building brand new worlds doesn't quite solve our desire for the real thing, then what happens? What do we compete for? And this, my friends, is where the conversation takes a turn into some really weird and potentially pretty dark territory. No, seriously, how do you get the Malibu house if you can't buy it? What's the new currency? What's the new game we all have to play to get the stuff that's truly rare? Does it all come down to reputation? Like a global social credit score that decides if you get the good stuff? Or maybe we hand it all over to a super smart AI and trust it to decide who's worthy? Or, and this is the scary one, do we just go back to the oldest rule in the book? Might makes right. Whoever controls the biggest army of robots just takes it. And here's a thought that really keeps me up at night. If money becomes useless for buying these things, then what about the people who own them today? They can never be bought out. Their families would own that land forever. You would literally create a permanent, unchangeable elite, freezing today's wealth gap into place for eternity. Ultimately, this all comes down to a huge debate about human nature itself. There are kind of two ways to look at it. There's the optimistic view, right? The rat park idea. You give us everything we need, a beautiful environment, and we'll thrive, we'll create, we'll be amazing. But then there's the pessimistic view, the Wall-E view. You take away all our struggle and we just turn into blobs who've lost all purpose. And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating, because the guy pushing this vision, Elon Musk, is famous for working, 100-hour weeks? He's basically sacrificing his entire life to build a future where nobody has to make any sacrifices at all. It's the ultimate paradox, isn't it? So I think here's the bottom line. Technology, robots, AI, fusion, it might actually solve material scarcity. It could end poverty. But what it can't solve is status scarcity. It can't rewire that deep, fundamental part of our brains that wants to compete, that wants to be special, that wants the one thing not everyone can have. And maybe that's the real path forward. Maybe the goal isn't to get rid of competition. Maybe it's just to lower the stakes of the game. What if we built a world where everyone has everything they need? Food, shelter, healthcare, all of it. And we still get to compete for the things we want. The only difference is, if you lose, you don't starve, you don't end up on the street, you just try again tomorrow. What would a world like that look like?